the reason you want it now is the reason you haven't gotten it yet. So you just continue down the same cycle of, well, this year it'll be different. The year is not going to be any different unless we approach it differently. If you're out of the race after the first lap, it doesn't matter how many laps the race is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have to make sure you're there after the first lap and the second lap, and that's what I think of the months as.
Just understand that there's an upside to that, and the upside to that is that you're not always up against it. You actually probably have a decent relationship with yourself. However, it doesn't mean you can't improve over time. And for the people out there that are really, 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 really consistent, and you're sitting there going, how in the hell do they do that? Trust me, it's darker than you think.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. Today, for episode number 1935, why New Year resolutions almost never work.
Real quick.
What do you need?
Is it New Year's resolutions or New Year?
Yeah, I think it's New Year's, but remember how we had the talk yesterday about New Year? I'm gonna add an apostrophe S to the title, so now it'll be New Year's. You're right on that one. I did a little research before because I want to have some numbers that go with what we're talking about. This is according to Forbes. I don't really believe almost anything in any magazines anymore, because if you can pay to be in the magazine, it's like, how true is it? I don't know. But a staggering 91% of people fail to keep their New Year's resolutions, with only 9% feeling successful in maintaining them by year's end. I don't know what that means. I don't know what feeling successful means, as opposed to like actually hitting it. I don't know, and genuinely, I'm not sure. Even more alarming, 23% quit their resolutions by the end of the first week, and 43% of them abandoned by the end of January. So Alan said, Kev, what do you think of New Year's resolutions? Let's do an episode on that. And I think Alan knows my take on it, and I think most people probably do too. I think it sets you up for failure. I think more than anything, you're trying to condense a year of results in one goal. And I think it's really, so we're resetting our goals for 2025. Will I have a yearly goal? Yes. But that yearly goal gets broken down into quarterly goals, which then get broken down into daily habits. So I'm focused on the daily habit as much, if not more, than the yearly goal. Because the only way to accomplish the yearly goal is to do the stuff day in and day out. And I just think that it's very easy to say, you know what? I'm going to turn my life around this year. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm not saying you can't turn your life around. But if that's where you start, you might be setting yourself up for failure. I think no matter what, you might face embarrassment when it comes to your goals. I would rather you set an embarrassingly small goal, accomplish it, and then reset, than set a stretch goal that just isn't realistic, and then you get embarrassed when you can't keep up with it 3 weeks into the year. That's how I feel about that. I saw something today, and now a lot of it's making sense to me now more than ever. But Tim Grover, who was Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant's personal trainer.
Correct.
He did a post, and it said something along the lines of, it's like, set unreasonable goals and find a way to accomplish them, essentially. But the people that resonate most with Tim Grover are people who are super high achievers, who have very, very high self-belief.
Or very delusional people.
But if he's putting that out there, he knows that's what his audience wants to see. So I'm not making that wrong. I just don't think that for most people, he coached he was the personal trainer for two of the most successful basketball players ever of all time.
Yeah, Michael Jordan for 15 years.
That's a very specific type of human. It's a very specific.
You think Michael Jordan is specifically different?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so.
Yeah, probably, right?
So that set of goals, that frame for setting goals, I think is probably dangerous for the vast majority of the population. I'm willing to bet if you took a group of 100 people and you put them in a room and you and I sat down with them and said, all right, cool, what's your New Year's resolution? And let's say somebody said, I'm going to lose 50 pounds this year. And we said, all right, what if we said you're going to go to the gym 3 times a week? Let's say 2 times a week for the first month, and then you'll go 3 times a week for the second month. And then we meet in the third month, and then now that you're running that as a habit, we talk about nutrition. What do you think about that? I'm willing to bet that person would be way more successful. Not because Alan or I. It's not because I'm going to tell them anything necessarily that they don't know. It's because by the third month, they'll still actually be exercising. And if you're not exercising by the end of the third month, you're most likely not going to accomplish your goal anyway. So, yeah, that's where I stand.
If you're not exercising by the end of the third month and you're trying to lose 50 pounds in a
You're in
single
trouble.
year, yeah, you're in trouble.
You're in trouble.
Yeah. Start small and build. I think you get the pain on the front end or the back end. So I think the pain on the front end is I'm going to set a goal that is embarrassingly small. And I'm going to say it to my friends, and I'm going to take the social pain of, really? Okay, good for you. But then you actually get the pleasure or the benefit of actually achieving it.
Yeah.
You get to go, okay, nice. I did it. But what else can I do? What else can I do? Or you set the really high goal that sounds super cool at the New Year's Eve party, and you get the pleasure up front, but then you get the pain of, there's no effing way I can actually do this. And if you are out there and you're honest with yourself about this and pain drives you and you are driven by pain, I am for sure, then do the delusional one. You'll get all the pain and all the motivation. If pain shuts you down and it doesn't drive you, you definitely don't want to set the high one, because you're basically just setting yourself up for failure and for being demotivated. Pain ignites me, failure ignites me. It doesn't shut me down. And that's, I think, probably rare, but I want to ask you, so what percentage of the population do you think are ignited by failure?
Oh, man. I would say, I think it's probably people that have like level 8 self-belief and above. Let's say level 7.5 self-belief and above. So not me.
So you're
Maybe
shut down by failure.
Less than ever, but still, yeah, I don't wake up saying, like, I really hope I take a lot of L's today, because that'll really get me going. No. I
Sounds
like,
really dumb, doesn't it?
it does. It sounds like the dumbest thing ever of all time. But it makes sense. You have to be in the right zone.
I would say Michael Jordan is motivated by failure. To go back to the example that you used at the beginning,
Yeah.
There's no question that when he loses, he gets more motivated. There's no question. And if you read the book Relentless, which was by Tim Grover, which is Michael Jordan's trainer that Kevin mentioned for 15 years, it's very clear that every time Michael Jordan lost a game, he came back more motivated. And I resonate with that. One thing that I will make very clear here is I think people that are motivated by failure, there's something that does shut them down, and I want to make this clear for anyone out there who does resonate with that. I get shut down by social failures. I think I get motivated by getting hate and like getting lashed out at, but it really messes with me a lot. And I think that letting people I love down shuts me down. I don't think it motivates me. Maybe it does motivate me to be better, but it messes with me a lot. So for example, if I was late for a meeting because I was on with a client and I was pouring into her in a very good way. So I'm proud of that. But Kevin, I was late for Kevin. So my guilt with Kev, that doesn't ignite me. That makes me feel terrible. Whereas, what's an example of a failure that ignites me? I don't know. Setting a goal for, making $10,000 this week or whatever it is, and then only hitting 7. Like, that doesn't shut me down at all. It's like, okay, we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Whereas with people that I care about, I get stuck in shame. And I think all of this is shame-based, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because this is New Year's resolution stuff. So back 2024, January, we did a meetup. We do this every year. We have one coming up
Thursday.
Setting clear, compelling, and achievable...
Tonight, if you're listening to this tonight.
Tonight. The registration link will be in the show notes. Setting clear, compelling, and achievable goals for 2025. And back in January of 2024, a year ago, I did research, very simple, quick research like Kev just did, and it said that only 4% of people have written goals and only 8% of them ever end up achieving them. And I wish that I knew what website that was or what research study. I don't. It was a Google simple research. So again, don't quote it. But even if it's anywhere close to that, that means most people don't have written goals. And the large majority of those people don't even achieve them, even though they do write them down. So setting yourself up for failure is just statistically a terrible idea.
I would say so. Yeah, for the vast majority of humans. I think for you, it works really well. I think it works really well with you. The other weird thing is, and again, I was much more ignorant when I used to say this, but if somebody really wants to make a change, and they wait for a New Year's resolution, they don't really want to make the change. Yeah. If we're being very honest. If we're being very honest, because if it mattered that much, you'd want to get a head start. So yesterday was, as of recording this, yesterday was New Year's Eve. And I woke up and I said, I got on the scale and I was 189 pounds. And I was like, boy, we've gotten thick. 5'5", 189 pounds. You know what I mean?
You weigh 3 pounds less than me.
That's a bowling ball of a human.
And I have
7 inches.
7 or 8 inches on you.
So, not great. Not ideal, right? I'm definitely in... If you were to look at my body mass index, I'm unhealthy. It doesn't account for muscle. And honestly, I don't think your heart really knows the difference between muscle. I mean, it's weight, so it's probably not great to be as heavy as I am right now. And I said, all right, cool, I'm going to start dieting today. And then I had this moment where I was like, well, I'll just wait till tomorrow. I mean, tomorrow's New Year's Day. I might as well just wait. I was like, no, screw that. I'm going to do it today. Like, why would I wait till tomorrow? I already tracked my toast and my peanut butter and my protein shake. Like, let me just start today. Why I want to start today. I'm going to start today. So I think that's even the thought process. Imagine, okay, I'll give you two really good examples. Imagine a relationship where the only time you celebrate anything is Valentine's Day. You think that relationship's going to be successful? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. Imagine somebody who's trying to do better financially. The only time they track their finances is around tax time. No, it's not enough. It's not enough.
Terrible idea.
We're gonna be in a lot of trouble. We're gonna be in a lot of trouble. So I think again, it's one of those things where it's just the principle of it.
We're on the meetup. I prepped for it last night. I couldn't sleep, so in my dreamland, I just started writing ideas. One of the ideas was identity, process, and results. So a results goal would be 10 pounds in 10 weeks. A process would be 5 times weight training per week. And then the identity is I'm a bodybuilder. That's a good example. What was my point of this? You have to sign up for the process as well as the goal. So I always say everyone wants to be more healthy, wealthy, and more in love. Everyone I coach, they want to be healthier, wealthier, and more in love, for sure. Of course. Even if it's self-love. Of course. Everyone listening and or watching this, hey, if you could wave a magic wand and be healthier, wealthier, or more in love, would you do it? Of course. Absolutely. What's the catch, right? The catch is you have to do a process. And what is that process? It's dieting, exercise, whatever. And I think that there's a lot of maturity in the want, love, hate framework we've talked about a lot in the past, but I'll give it here simply. So I want to be in great shape. I do love weight training. I hate dieting. So I know I won't be in that great of shape. I'm going to get takeout tonight. I don't know what yet. I sent Emilia. I'm seeing what she wants.
What are the options? Let's talk about it.
I think they're not great options. This is where we take cred hits. I don't eat like this all the time. Domino's, Burger King, Nico's. What was the other one? There was one more.
Gotta get sushi, right? Sushi's gotta be on there.
No, I don't do sushi anymore, which
expensive.
Has been good for the bank account.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's expensive.
No, it's not just that. I got sick one time.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I can't stomach it anymore. I don't know what happened.
It's a shame.
Yeah, she's very upset about it because our first date was sushi and she loves it, and it sucks. It does. It sucks. We tried a couple, can't do it, but it's good for the bank account because that was a very expensive habit for sure.
It is habit, yeah.
But anyways, so why was I saying all that? Oh, want, love, hate. Want to be in great shape. Love weight training. I don't like dieting, and it took a long time for me to realize how much I don't. And I was talking earlier to Laura. Shout out to Laura, my executive admin, and I was playful with it because she's done 200. So I'll celebrate her for a second. She's done 204 days in a row of 100% on her peak performance tracker. So she has, I don't know, 14 habits or something like that, and she's gotten 100% on every habit for 204 days straight, which is wild.
That is
it's
wild.
I don't do that. Seriously,
that is wild with a capital W.
Insane. And I said something along the lines of, if you were to be asked, like, how do you do that? The real truth underneath it is, and I was playful with this, but I said, yeah, if I'm not downstairs by 7:30 cutting off work in 2025 because I've been so overwhelmed in 2024, I 12 lashings. I playfully said 12 lashings. She said, no dinner for you. And we were joking.
Mm-mm.
Obviously, no, absolutely not. Can you imagine if someone came and took away my dinner?
Nope.
If I wasn't downstairs on time, I would never not be downstairs on time. Because dinner's my favorite thing in the world. I love dinner. You're not taking away my dinner. Food is I love it. It's the best. It's half the reason I love weight training. Food is good now.
Yep.
But if we took away something that we love, we'd be so disciplined. Human beings are so disciplined when they're afraid to lose something they love. What would you do if you, I don't know, if somehow, okay, if you don't weight train, Kev, for the next 52 weeks, 2025, and you don't weight train at least 5 times a week, Taryn's going to leave you. You would do it every time, no matter what, because we as human beings, we're so afraid to lose things we love. And the truth is I don't think self-discipline works if you're not up against losing something you love, even though the truth is we're all losing something in the future. You're losing your future bank account. You're losing one of my clients is saving for a home. And every time he doesn't deposit money into his home account, he's losing a potential better home. So we are losing all the time. So we have to put ourselves up against that sort of metaphorical wall if we want to stay consistent. And if you do it in a way where you set this crazy goal that's completely not doable and it's in conflict with everything you value, you're never going to actually follow through.
Well, it's so hard because I think most people beat themselves up so much already. So it's hard to put more necessity. I have a lot of empathy for that. Because I know a lot of people they're constantly beating themselves up internally. And the last thing they want to do is create another opportunity for them to beat themselves up.
What does that look like? What is the internal dialogue? Like, give me an example. And I'm not saying you have to use you, but what do you think the internal dialogue actually is?
Well, I always try to use me because I don't want to assume what somebody else is thinking or feeling. I just think it's like, yeah, I'm gonna get to the gym this week. Like, this will be the week I do it. And then it doesn't happen, and then you beat yourself up. You're like, I can never fucking do it. Like, something always seems to come up, and am I ever going to actually be able to do this? So never mind.
So it creates self-doubt then.
I think it creates self-doubt, and I think it hurts self-worth. And now on top of that, we're going to compound, and you also don't get to go whatever. You don't get to go, let's not make it about food because I know that's a dangerous game. And you don't get to go to the movies with your friends on Friday, or you don't get to go to girls' night on Friday, or guys' night on Friday. You don't get to do that because that was the commitment you made with yourself. Now you're taking 2 L's.
Yeah.
Now you're going to tell your friends, I can't come because I didn't hit my goal. And they're going to say, that's dumb as shit. Like, just come anyway. Well, no, I can't. And then that becomes a whole... So I understand why... So
what's the alternative to that? Because obviously I always go that way, but I'm also motivated by pain. So
I think you set a goal that you almost are guaranteed that you can do.
And then that motivates you when you hit it?
Yeah, and you give yourself a reward. So I think, to your point, I do think humans are more motivated by pain than pleasure. Right? I do. I imagine you're probably going to run faster from a bear than you're going to run to a pot that has $100,000 in it. Just
For
because
sure.
you're going to run
What if
faster
you're
than
running from a bear toward a pot?
you
with
might.
100 grand in
The
it?
the ground is going to catch on fire beneath you because your feet are going to be moving so fast. I think it's probably everybody probably has their own sweet spot where the necessity has to be constructive and the celebration has to be constructive, but it can't be too much on either end.
Yep.
That if
Yeah,
you
You can't expect a 7-year-old to do AP calculus and then shame them when they don't, right? It needs to be in your
yeah,
sweet spot.
and it has to be for you. You can't set your goals based on what somebody else would do. You can't set your goals based on
What your friend group would approve of.
no way.
Yeah.
No way.
I
Because
remember this back in the day when I would start trying to quit drinking, and I remember I had this one friend who, in hindsight, just very arrogant. He said, "Why don't you just not? Why don't you just stop?" It's like, dude, you obviously don't deal with what I deal with.
why don't you just stop drinking?
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Thank you so much.
Well, it's like this people who say, why don't you just believe in yourself more? Same shit.
Yeah. I remember him being like, dude, just don't. Just have one. Oh my God. Thank you so much. I didn't realize I could just have one. I didn't fucking get it. Oh, now, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I hadn't considered that. Just have one with dinner. Okay. Yeah. I'm excessive. We're different, right? But that's why everything has to be custom.
Well, and I think this is the new year, having a New Year's resolution just to start is not custom. You're deciding that you're going to do something on a specific time because the motivation from the time is there, not necessarily the internal motivation to make the change.
Yeah.
And that right there is, I think, one of the reasons why it's so hard to do. Next Level Nation, what is happening? If you've thought to yourself, I want to try coaching, but you don't really know where to start, group coaching would be a wonderful place for you. That's really why we created it in the first place. We start a new round every 90 days. So if you're hearing this, go to the website, nextleveluniverse.com, and we have the landing page where you can actually hold your spot right now. Even if there's a group going on right now, you can still lock your spot for the next one. The biggest thing that we've seen is as we get closer and closer to the date, unfortunately, some people end up missing. The group fills up and they can't do it, and then they end up regretting that. So please head over to the website. The link will be in the show notes, and we would love to see you there.
I asked Laura how she did it earlier, and I said, I don't even need to ask. I already know the answer. You just never let yourself off the hook. You just never let yourself off the hook. Never. It's like, well, how? Well, she built up to that. That would be one. Her system is sustainable for her. It's because I remember when we had, and I know she wouldn't mind me sharing this, when we had no sugar on there, especially during the holidays, she was getting L's on that. So the system's sustainable for her. She ramped up to it. It's not like this is the first time she's habit tracked. She's been habit tracking for probably almost 4 years now. And then she never lets herself off the hook. And she got a streak going. Streaks are powerful. When you get a streak going, you'll do anything to keep that thing. I remember the Big Five to Thrive. Big Thrive to Die is what we started calling it. I canned that thing. But I had a streak going for a long time. I have a streak going right now, 1,037 days of exercise. We're not going to let that fall lightly. Like if that ever falls, it means something really drastic happened. So streaks are really powerful too. So do something small enough where you can get a streak going. That's a cheat code for sure.
And eventually, then your identity becomes, I am a consistent person. I'm somebody who is consistent. I watched, when Tara and I went to Vermont, I think she went to bed early one night, and I stayed up, and I watched this. There was like some psychology channel I found on YouTube, and it was talking about the key to quote-unquote discipline. And I was like, God, this is going to be dumb. And it was really powerful. It was a really great video. Again,
Nice.
This was a year ago. I don't remember who it was. And if I wanted to find it, I couldn't, unfortunately. But it said the people who are the most disciplined hold conflict in their consciousness longer. Meaning this. You I don't want to use the word ruminate, but I don't have a better word. You sit on the fence longer between should I do this or should I not do this? Because I think what happens for a lot of people is the alarm clock goes off and they just hit snooze. And now that decision has been made, there's no conflict. But if let's say you set a timer for 6, 6:01, 6:02, 6:03, 6:04, and 6:05, you have 5 times that you can hold the conflict and say, should I actually get up? Am I going to regret it if I don't get up? And that's what the video was about. It was about when you just eliminate conflict in your mind, the internal conflict of should I do this or should I not do this, if you quickly end it and you land on I shouldn't do this, then you're almost never going to be self-disciplined. It was
that's
the
letting yourself off the hook thing. That's what that is how long do you... I want to have a brief conversation about that because I think we have this idea in our heads, we collectively. I don't know if this is as authentic as possible here. I don't have an idea that I'm going to achieve my goals easily. I don't have that. There is no version of me that thinks that anything I'm trying to achieve is going to be easy. Certainly not long term anyways. And maybe easy relative to other people, but like easy in general is just, I don't think goal achievement is easy. I think that's dumb. Anyone who says, oh yeah, that's easy. No, then you should have aimed higher for sure. Don't believe it. It's supposed to suck. It's supposed to be hard. You're not doing anything wrong. Everyone struggles. Everyone.
But just to push back,
yep,
gently, if you do accomplish it, it doesn't mean it can't be constructive. Let's just say, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly. I'm not saying not to set easy. Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I just want to make sure because I don't want to contradict everything we set up to this point.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Thank you for that. So there's two sides to every coin. It's the duality of both of those. Set small, tangible, easy to achieve goals that build momentum and then up the ante. But when it's a struggle, don't think something's wrong with you because it is goal achievement is a struggle. That's why we're not all in mansions on the beach. I mean, that's why we don't all have six packs. It's terrible. That said, I want to have this conversation about the internal conflict because I spend most of my life in that. I playfully was telling Kev recently that I'm not aging well. And if you look at U.S. presidents, they age like 10 years in 4, sometimes 20 years in 4. If you look at the before and after pictures, and I've got these sort of stress lines coming in, and I don't know why I look like Elvis today, but I know what those are from. There's a downside to putting yourself in the pressure cooker so often. That video you talked about self-discipline and not letting yourself off the hook and holding conflict in your consciousness. There was a couple weeks ago, where Emilia and I let it ride. Neither one of us held the line. And we still exercised, but we went for a walk and we were supposed to weight train. And dude, it was so painful for me. I felt like we let ourselves down. I was like, why didn't one of us hold the fucking line? Like, it was so hard for me to let it ride. Dude, it was so hard. It was like, honestly, dude, it took like 10 minutes for me she said, Alan, it's okay. It's just one day of weight training. Like, it's not a big deal. We'll go tomorrow. We'll double up the next 2 days. And I was like, I don't know. I think we should just fucking go. Like, let's just go. It's like 10:30 at night. It's like, yeah, but that's a dumb idea. No, but I think we should just fucking go. Dude, 10 minutes of me, I couldn't shut it off. I think that is one of the reasons why I'm able to be disciplined is there's certain things that I just don't let myself off the hook with. Whereas someone else that wouldn't be that hard. They'd just be like, oh, okay, we'll just go tomorrow. Not a big deal. We'll walk tonight. We'll weight train tomorrow. And I just want everyone to understand there is a downside to being super disciplined. I've never met anyone who's super, 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 super disciplined who didn't have some negatives with that. And I just want to give people both sides of this real quick. If you let yourself off the hook easily, trust me, you have a better relationship with yourself than you probably think. And you probably have reasonable self-worth. I don't know if I know how to explain this because I've never been that type. But it seems to me like I remember when I was a kid, I would look around and I'd say, like, how are you so okay being just what you are? Like, how are you so okay with not achieving much? Like, I remember in high school, people would get C's and D's and B's and they didn't even care. And I'd be like, If I
Yeah,
get
that
a
was-
B,
that was me.
I'm going to berate myself because I need to get straight A's, right? So there is something to be said here for those of you out there who feel like you don't struggle with that inner conflict that much. Just understand that there's an upside to that. And the upside to that is that you're not always up against it. You actually probably have a decent relationship with yourself. However, it doesn't mean you can't improve over time. And for the people out there that are really, 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 really consistent, and you're sitting there going, how in the hell do they do that? Trust me, it's darker than you think.
There's something to be said about the fact that some of the goals that we desire to achieve would require superhuman levels of consistency and discipline and boundaries and self-worth and all that stuff. And I think that's an important thing too. Is real, like, if we're very realistic right now, not negative, not talking down, not limiting people, but there are some people that if they were trying to exercise every day, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's the odds of that happening. If that would be your New Year's resolution, if somebody said, you know what, I haven't been consistent at all in the gym, I'm going to exercise every single day in 2025, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, unless you're doing like 5 minutes or something really, really
If
small.
you're doing 5 minutes, cool, awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
Start
Love
there
that.
and then build. We
But-
started with 30 minutes.
But think of how superhuman you would have to get to the place where you go from not exercising consistently to being one of the most consistent people doing that challenging behavior. It's
Yeah.
just it's a very, very challenging goal right off the top that's going to force you to change maybe beyond what you're currently capable of changing into. Not from a limiting thing, but just a realistic. Like if I said I'm going to run. Like Brandon has run Brandon on the team has run a mile a day every day for I don't even know how long.
Almost 800 days.
That is absolutely insane.
Yeah. Shout out to Brandon. That dude is gritty as hell.
That's absolutely insane.
Yeah, that is insane. Yeah,
So if somebody
nuts. That's awesome.
was going to set it, it's the best. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
But
Miles
that's
for
just,
mindset. Shout out
it's
to
not a
Brandon, if anyone
realistic
wants
goal.
to join him.
Yes. It's not he's young Forrest Gumpin out here.
Yeah.
It's not a realistic goal for most people. That would be a terrible resolution. I'm going to run a mile a day for 365 days.
Well, let's give the backstory. So this is the point. Brandon was playing football in high school. He was the captain of the football team. He played D2 football in college. His physical discipline was not built in the last 800 days.
Right.
It was built in a decade prior to that. And I think that when Emilia and I first got a home together, she had all these projects we were going to do every goddamn weekend, right? And I'm just being real here. Not for me. I'm not a fan. Like, I'll hang a shelf, but what are we doing, right? This is my only day off. And I'm not good at projects. So I can't do 10. So she came from a family, her father, Nate, is super good at projects, like project man. He helped us with plumbing and all kinds of stuff. Very grateful. I said, sweetheart, I can't do this. I can't jump up to project man. My stepdad did all this. I didn't even like him, so I ran in the other direction. So I'm good at Excel. I'm good at math. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not good at this. I need to start small. I need like 1, then 2, then 3. I can't jump to. She used to have a huge list on the whiteboard for us every Sunday, and it's like, honey, I can't do it. I can't do it. I need to start small. And now we have systems that, and last Sunday or 2 Sundays ago, I think I put up a shelf or whatever, but it's not a lot. So it also, you have a skill set point. Brandon's physical skill set point is very high.
Yep.
It's very, very high, statistically speaking. But I guarantee you, if I had him in spreadsheets, he couldn't do what I'm doing in spreadsheets. But I've been in spreadsheets since I was a little kid, right? So it's all relative to how long you've been doing it, and we all have to. That's what I would say is play at the level you're currently at, and don't delude yourself into thinking you're ahead of where you really are, because a lot of that is just probably shame-based, or start with self-awareness first and then build from there.
Last thing before we get out of here. Focusing more on the process than the results, I think, is extremely important. Mm-hmm. Because what you're trying to do, I won't say it that way. One of the reasons I think many New Year's resolutions don't work is because you're not focused on building a new habit, you're focused on accomplishing a new result. And here's the thing, it might take you longer than a year to accomplish the goal. But if you build the habit in the first year, by the second year, you already have the habit, and then maybe you can say, well, you know what, last year, I was able to go to the gym 150 times. Right? I went 3 times a week. Okay. That's a really good start. I never thought I was going to be able to do that. That's amazing. All right, cool. Maybe this year, since I already kind of have the process, I'll set a goal that is measurable and then I can really focus on accomplishing by the end of the year. I want to lose 25 pounds this week. 25 pounds this year, not this week. You don't want to lose 25 pounds this week. That ain't it. If I want to lose 25 pounds this year, okay, what's that? That's like a half a pound a week. Ish. 52, 26 would be a half a pound a week.
Let's
right?
real quick, let's crunch the numbers on that.
Let's crunch the numbers.
25 pounds, you said?
Yeah. Let's say 26, because that's a round number for 52, and it'll be a half a pound a week.
Got it. Okay, so 26 pounds times 3,500 calories divided by 365, you have to burn 250 calories a day.
So if you're in a 250 calorie deficit per day,
For
and
the
you're
whole
going,
year.
and you're
And
going
keep
to
in
the
mind,
gym
that's
and-
not easy.
no,
Because
that's
that
a
means you
challenge.
can't miss. Because the moment you go over, now you have to make up. I mean, it is terrible. Dieting is terrible.
It's
I'm just
not.
saying.
It's not ideal. It's not ideal. But you already have the habit of exercising.
Yeah.
I'm so curious if we were able to say, you know what, instead of a 1-year resolution, I'm going to set a 5-year resolution. I'm so curious to see what would happen. Because then you could just say, for the first year, I'm going to work on the process. I'm just going to build the habits for the first year. That's the.
Then you get the identity.
Then you get the identity, and then you can actually set like a accurate, based on belief goal, knowing that I already know how to do the thing that's going to lead me to the goal.
Yeah.
Something to that.
I remember when I did a fitness speech, I know we got to jump. I did sleep, hydration, nutrition, training, and mobility. I think in hindsight, that was too much.
I would say so.
We should have just focused on like
Those are all
a
of them
couple
are
of the little ones.
all
Yeah,
of
it's
them
too
are
much.
like people's biggest struggles.
That's like 5 projects for me.
It's like 5 projects for you.
Shut down. We're gonna do the plumbing. We're gonna do the
Yeah.
shelf. We're gonna no, we're not. No, we're not. Gonna fix the car.
When
call
are
a
we going to watch
mechanic.
Star Wars? What
Yeah.
time? We're not going to watch Star Wars today.
Gonna
if we
watch
do all that?
X2, X-Men. Okay, monthly meetup. Clear, compelling, and achievable goals for 2025. It's tonight. I hope you join us. It's workshoppy. I'm taking over monthly meetups as the director. They're going to be a little bit workshoppy. What I mean by that is you're going to leave with tangible, clear, compelling, and achievable goals for 2025. You're going to leave with something. And it's not going to be overwhelming. It's going to be simple and doable. And that's literally the frame that I went into creating it.
And what a perfect time for that based on this episode. If you feel like you've struggled with New Year's resolutions in the past, we're not going to talk about New Year's resolutions.
Nope.
We're going to talk about habits. And we're going to talk about how to form. Like that's what I think a lot of us unfortunately are missing. It's the habit. The habit is the foundation under everything.
Last question.
Yes.
8 years ago, you realized now you were not the most disciplined human. And again, you had some self-discipline and physical all that.
Yep.
What would you say to you about New Year's resolutions? It's 8 years ago. You're talking to Kevin 8 years ago.
A year is not, it's not long enough. A year is probably not long enough for most of us to actually complete the cycle of transformation. It might take you a year to build the identity. It might take you a year to build the identity. A year is not...
What would Kevin have said to that?
I want it now. But I want it now.
What would you have said to that?
The reason you want it now is the reason you haven't gotten it yet. Because you just continue down the same cycle of, well, this year it'll be different. The year is not going to be any different unless we approach it differently. And I know it sounds... It sounds like it doesn't make sense, but sometimes you need to set smaller goals. You just, Kev, you need to set a smaller goal. Because here's the thing. If you're not in the race by the end, if you're out of the race after the first lap, it doesn't matter how many laps the race is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have to make sure you're there after the first lap and the second lap. And that's what I think of the months as. If you tap out 6 months in, it doesn't matter what the goal was. So make sure you can survive each lap. And going back to trying to run a 6-minute mile, The laps were too fast for me. You know what a really good thing would be?
I'm going to run an 8-minute mile.
I'm going to run a mile.
Yeah,
I'm going to run a mile. I'm not even going to time it.
Yeah.
I haven't run in years. Why am I trying to run a fucking 6-minute mile, you idiot? That's dumb.
Yeah,
it's
was
not
brutal.
It's not a good idea.
But
now,
it sounded
again,
cool. That's the problem. It sounded cool.
Yeah, I wasn't going to be very excited to jump on the podcast and say, today I ran a 26-minute mile. I just wouldn't have been, I would have been embarrassed to say that.
Yeah.
I would have been embarrassed to say that.
I think you could do better than 26.
I can.
You could probably do 12. 12.
I think
Easily.
remember I had a little running spurt there for a little bit? I think I did 10 something.
Nice.
But it was worse than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was embarrassed a little bit when you were like, would you run like 9? It's like, no, I ran 10 something.
Yeah.
And if I said to myself, yeah, well, that 6-minute mile almost killed me, but I could probably do like 8. I would not have done it, and then I probably would have felt bad about it.
Yep.
So this isn't a you thing. This is an everybody thing, and I just think some of the least sexy stuff is the stuff that builds the most sexy stuff later.
Yep.
That's what I would say to Kev. All right. If you want to make sure you never miss an opportunity to get to the next level, make sure you are subscribed on whatever platform you are listening or watching on. We appreciate it because it helps us help more people. Meet up tonight, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll have the Zoom information and the link in the show notes. We would love to see you there. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Stay focused. Next Level Nation.